What's up guys, it's Bangalore Productions coming at you with a video on some fieldcraft. So we have a fire. Later in the video you'll see how we made it. Then we'll start talking about some other fieldcraft stuff that you can utilize. Also boiling water with the fire. If you're in a permissive environment, by all means make a fire to boil water. If not, I recommend getting some kind of stove device that you can utilize to boil water in a non-permissive environment, whether that be digging a hole, putting it in the hole. If you're in a fighting position, it's covered. As long as it's vented, you can boil your water inside of your fighting position. But if you're in a permissive environment like we are right now, make a fire, boil on top of that. Anyway, let's get into it, guys.
All right, guys, so today we're gonna go over building a fire. Like I said in the last video, or whatever, however many videos ago, workspace is everything regardless of what you're doing. So you're gonna have to prep your stuff. It doesn't have to be as laid out as it is right now. We're kind of just doing this for demonstration. But the idea is you want to have your materials separated clearly. So even if it's dark out right now, we have a flashlight that's going to help us. But in a different environment where that might not be advantageous, just having your workspace already set up is going to be key. So right here, as you can see, we have some pine needle and dried grass. This is going to be great for getting that initial fire started, as well as some dryer lint. Another thing you can use that's pretty solid, especially if you're going to be in more wet, swampy jungle environment, is cotton balls. But you're going to want to get them, how do you say, yeah, soaked or like infused with any sort of petroleum based product. So one thing that works really good is just regular store-bought Vaseline, and you can also use it for dryer lint, but it works a little bit better with cotton balls because they stay a little bit more intact. Moving on over here, we have some sticks. You're going to want to get them about pinky to finger thickness, and just having a variety of those on standby. Then you're going to want to have some more thicker sticks about the size or a little bit smaller than your wrist. And then moving on, you want to have the actual base. So for these, you want them to be about as thick as your arm. And then you want to have the actual structure, either materials off to the side or already pre-staged. So getting into it, what you're going to do, you want to create your bird's nest. So you want to get some of this material and you're going to create basically what it sounds like, a bird's nest. So one way that works pretty good is you have it spread out kind of like as long as possible, and then all you're going to do is just bend it kind of like a horseshoe and bring the bottom up. It's going to give you this nice little bird's nest looking thing. Then you can just bring your base inside, and now you have that nice little pocket. Then just having some that you can pull from to add to it as you need. Now we're going to build it. And also, don't be too concerned with finding like the proper or the most perfect logs that you can find. Just make sure that whatever log you do get, you prep it perfectly. So it's not perfect practice, or it's not practice that makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So make sure you fine tune whatever it is you're using, instead of trying to spend the entire time trying to find the perfect materials. So now we're gonna add our tinder. And a lot of people get this bird's nest and this stuff confused. So you could potentially use this as tinder, but the more fine and fibery the material, the better it's going to be for insulation. So think about like cattails anything like that, or also birch bark. That's going to be really good. It's got a lot of oil in it. And if you can get a like a stick feathered, and then you just infuse some birch bark in there, it's going to be great for starting that fire. But for right now, we're just going to keep it pretty simple and just use some dryer lint. So you want to pluck it so it's going to be as fibery as possible, and you want to spread it out as much as possible so it has as big a surface area to catch whatever sparks from either your flint and steel, fire steel, magnesium, and striker. So you have a bunch of different options, and honestly, like, nothing is as easy as just having a lighter. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to make things harder on yourself, but right now, for teaching purposes, we're just going to show you with a fire steel, because that's what most people think of when they do bushcraft.
Action.
All right, so now we're actually going to start it just so you guys can see. And one of the techniques that I like to use for a fire steel is a lot of people like pushing the striker towards the target. And if that's the way that you do it and it works, just get good at one method. When I was first taught, is you leave the striker in place and you just pull the actual fire steel back. I find that to be a little bit better, but given the situation, I can't really get down in there too well. So I'm gonna try a way that I'm not used to, and it's I'm gonna try pushing it. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, guys, so we just went over how to create your fire, different methods you can use to do that, and we're gonna go over boiling water. So I've mentioned it before in other videos about a stove. I just picked up a new one. This is the Pocket Stove by, let's see the name, by Esbit, German company. I know a lot of guys in like NATO countries get issued these, from what I've heard. So essentially, you can really see it, it's just a little block, metal block, and it opens up like this. Now, Gene, and then inside of there, you should all have one of these Nalgene cup, metal cup that you can use to boil water that you find. So it comes with these little fuel tabs. You just pop one out, place it in that little center tray right there, and then once you have that done, obviously on the ground, you light that on fire with your lighter, flint and steel, whatever it may be. Put your cup on top of there. This will get up to 1300 degrees and it'll boil a pint of water in 8 minutes. So if you find water in a stream, collect it in a bag, bring it back. Maybe you don't want to waste your iodine tablets yet. Maybe you're in a permissive environment and you can utilize using an open flame or using your stove, or like I mentioned earlier, if you're in a defensive position, you're inside of a dug hole, you have overhead cover and concealment, or at least just concealment from thermal, night vision, whatever gives off a heat signature or light. As long as you're covered on those bases, you can utilize your stove. And that's why boiling should be probably your first primary method, depending on how permissive the environment is. If you're not in a permissive environment, if you're purifying water, I recommend a filter, like a platypus filter, the Sawyer Mini, something like that, H2O Go or H2 Go. then iodine tablets. Obviously, those are, you can buy them at Walmart, so cheap, and they work amazing. But if you're able to use a stove, I'd recommend using this because it's a lot faster, and if you have hot water, you can use it for mountain house meals, stuff like that. Having a nice warm meal can give you a little bit more out. Anyway, so I just carry this with 3 tabs. That's enough for 3 pints of water right there. Keep that in my little butt pack. So now we talked about how to use your stove. All right, guys, so we got the Nalgene propped up against the flame, utilizing more of that contact instead of that hovering above method, seeing if we can get a boil out of that. Looks like it should be boiling here pretty soon. Now I got the Esprit stove. So when you're using these and you're using little fuel pods, what you're gonna wanna do, you're not gonna be able to see it, but you're gonna want to get a knife, and you're gonna wanna kinda like really grind it out, make it like chalky type material. And then you're gonna hold the stove more towards you and use your lighter and hold it on that more chalky and light with that. And it's already starting to catch and it's caught. So now we got a flame, and that's gonna start burning that little fuel cell. And now, if this method doesn't work of boiling with the fire, we can't get a boil in the next couple minutes, we can transfer over to this Esprit stove. And now, as you can also see from the Esprit stove, the flame output, the light signature it gives off isn't as great. Now through thermals, through knots, it's still gonna be pretty prevalent. But if you have this down in a hole, like a fighting position, you're gonna be good. I'm just gonna leave it right there, you'll be fine. So we'll come back in a few minutes and see how this water's doing, and then we'll update you guys. See, that was so good.
All right, guys, so this is no real like breakthrough stuff right here. Just, I've seen a lot of people go to boil cans over flames, and a lot of times they don't think about the pressure it's going to be building up inside of this thing when it's exposed to heat. Because remember, when things heat up, they expand. Remember that. I'm not fat, I'm just hot. But usually a can will have this little push tab, so you just crack it and you just give the air or the gas inside of there a place to escape. That should be fine. But if not, you want to get a knife and just poke some holes in the lid. Be like sparing with them. You don't have to make giant holes, but don't just make one tiny one either. And that's pretty much it. And then once you have it like this, all you're gonna do is just set it up over the flame and then just let it cook to liking, I guess. And also you would remove the actual paper on the outside, but I mean, it was just for demonstration. I'm gonna eat it cold.
So we brought the water to a boil. Now we let it cool off so we don't burn ourselves while we're moving the boiled water into our Nalgene. So what you're gonna do, shamog, t-shirt, if you have a clean sock, not a dirty one, you can use that. You're gonna take it, depending on how thick the material is, shamog is really thin, you can probably fold it just in half once, put it over your lid, take your finger, stick it in there, and about half your finger's length is what you want, so it has something to catch and actually catch the water. The reason we're doing this is because you can see little particles and stuff that got in there while we were boiling it. Just from the ash, that happens. And this is a way you can mitigate that. So move our hands, we don't burn our hands. It's gonna take a little bit, but you're gonna slowly pour that water and it's gonna start seeping through. Once the shamog gets wet, wait for it to get wet first, and then it'll start seeping through slowly. And you can start adding more water. And it's just gonna take all those big particles out. It takes a little bit of time. So if you do have to utilize this method of boiling your cup next to an open flame, just keep in mind that when you inevitably get ash inside of your cup, you're gonna have to take a little bit of time to filter all that ash and those particles out. So just keep that in mind. All right, guys.